Hey guys, Lucas Green here, and I'm back with a new wall change. It's a nice environment, really. My whole room is getting painted. As you can see, it's half done. Half is green, half is not done, but there's been a bit of a room change. The bed's behind me now. Wow, I'm just like Garrett, the raptor. I'll put an annotation to his channel down below. But you know, today, as you can tell by the title of this video, this is the ranking of the Disney Renaissance movies. There are 10 movies actually in total. One is underrated, but we'll get to that down the list. There are 10 movies in total, and I'll tell you all now. I had an order for this about when they came out, but either I lost it in my notes, but so anyway, the 10 movies are, I'll try and go in order, are Little Mermaid. I've got all the discs. I've got them all on Blu-ray, apart from one of them. Alright, so Little Mermaid, Pocahontas, no, wrong order. Little Mermaid, then it was the underrated one, which was The Rescues Down Under. Then it was Beauty and the Beast. Then it was Aladdin, then The Lion King, then Pocahontas, then Hunchback. Then it was Hercules, then Mulan, and then Tarzan was the finale. Okay, so I think that's basically how all of them came out. So it's time to get on with the ranking of these movies. If you have your own opinion on these movies, where you think they should be ranked, put it in the comments down below. That being said, guys, I won't waste a minute more of your time. It's time to begin the Disney rankings, so let's go over this. So here we are with the first one of the 10 Disney movies ranked. I rank Hercules at number 10. Guys, it's hard to do the ranking of these movies, but a lot of people, I'm sure there are fans of this movie, and I can see why. James Woods as the villain Hades, he's probably the highlight of the movie. You know, you've got a good decent cast, especially with Danny DeVito as the tutor, Phil Philatides, and you've got Pain and Panic, Pegasus, and Megara, and you know, Hercules himself. It's pretty likable cast of characters for this movie. What's holding it back, though, is all of its tone, and it doesn't really know what it wants to be at times. We'll get another movie like this as we go down the road, but this one, it's more of taking itself into a joke, which is a good idea. I do like funny movies, so it seems to be taking the more jokey route about it. But the tone of the movie does feel kind of off, and the design of the characters, it's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, it works for some of them, like Hercules, but like the people, the background characters, they really stick out as wacky, cartoony. It's like Scarface design, as he wanted it to be. There are some funny moments, especially with James Woods' Hades as the villain, because there are some quotes he does in the movie, which I still quote today. You know, I'm trying to think of, but other than that, the plot is predictable as F, you know, because you've got Megara, she's gonna have a thing with Hercules, and, you know, she's working for the bad guy, and Phil's trying to tell him she's troubled, but, you know, Hercules is too stupid to figure it out. It's basically, it is, if you've seen the Nostalgia Critics, this Disney December, he says it was like Superman's plot. It is kind of like Superman's plot, where you've got the guy with godly strength trying to, you know, just like Superman, he has a sassy woman, and he goes today with all his incredible strength and all that. And, you know, it is a nice, fun ride, but I think there are better movies in the Disney canon. So, hence why I'm going to rank it at the number 10 spot. It was hard doing this ranking, especially, but overall, I still think this is a good movie. I've got it on DVD. It's not worth a Blu-ray in my mind. It is, what, the 35th animated film released by Disney. But you know, I'm happy to put it in the DVD collection, and I got it for £8, so nice bargain there. So we'll be moving on to the next Disney movie now, and from all the remaining 9 are Blu-rays. So that being said, let's carry on with the countdown. Yes, guys, here we are again. Number 9, Pocahontas. Pocahontas is one of my mother's favorite Disney movies. I think it's because she likes the mature theme it takes, both in design and in the film itself. It's trying to take the native culture, and it was. I do know that Disney, after The Lion King, they wanted this to be their big, huge movie, which most people say is The Lion King. But you know, I can see where they're coming from. There are some good things about this movie, and my mom did, and I'm glad I got a Blu-ray that Mom was able to like. So you know, so getting this in the Blu-ray collection is, in that way, just worth more for getting it. So let's go over the positives, probably go over the negatives of this movie. I mean, let's go. I'm gonna start off. The villain Radcliffe, as stupid as he is funny as hell at times. It's gold, mountains of it, and it's like it is. I don't think he's typical, but it's funny, so I can have some laughs with him. John Smith is an okay lead with Mel Gibson. Pocahontas is, you know, a very straight, firm woman. She's sort of the transition we get into better Disney princesses, females, you know what I mean. She's like the first one that's, okay, maybe Belle was before that, but Belle was like, Belle's not capable of fighting on her own, is what I mean. This is the one that where we start to see more adventurous, because, you know, even Belle was like, I want more than this provincial life. Well, you know, we get some more adventurous, we are starting to go into the adventurous roles of women. But, you know, there was some native culture behind this movie, and they were really trying to do something. But what's holding this movie back, despite it being the 33rd Disney classic, you know, it's a bit. They're taking the Pocahontas story and turning it into like another Romeo and Juliet, like two forbidden love between two cultures comes together and saves the people from killing each other. There are some good songs in this movie, I will admit that. Colors of the Wind is an Oscar, like I think it's a nominated song, something like that. Savages is a good one. There are a few others, but they're not as popular as those two, I think. A lot of people hate the song Mine, but I really don't. I think it really plays up the pompous nature of Radcliffe and the heroic side of John Smith to show what their characters' desires are. So overall, we know what all the main characters are. We know what Pokes' wants and desires are. We know what John Smith's wants and desires are, and we know what the villain's motivations and desires are. And there are some side characters in this movie who I generally like. Like one of them, I think it's like, what's his name? Was it Billy Connolly? It was Billy Connolly, I think. You know, he's the guy. He plays different roles in movies. He played the father in Brave. You know what I mean? So I think it's Billy Connolly. Yeah, I think it is. He plays. I think it's Ben, one of the ship hands, and he says a lot of remarks which relate today. Now and then, like, I was slaving out backs day and night, where you sit while Radcliffe sits in his tent, happy as a clap. There are some funny moments with this cast that I can appreciate. It's not much, but there are some subtle moments. So with that being said, its overall theme is okay. It's just those little hints that I like about it. So it gives it, it's a nice push away from Hercules to give it a number 9 spot on the of this ranking of the Disney movies. So that being said, let's move on to the number 8 spot. And yeah, The Little Mermaid comes in at number 8. So this was a very nice start to the Disney Renaissance. It does deserve its praise, as of course it did start off the Disney Renaissance. And this cough. But overall, it is a really good movie. There are some flaws with this movie. It came out in 1989. There are some flaws with this movie, like the main character being kind of naive, and it is kind of her fault that all this bad stuff happens. But the good things, I think, are enough to balance out its flaws. The villain is one of Disney's best, Ursula the Sea Witch. Gotta go up with that. She's very lovely to watch. How she plays off Ariel's naivety, because we can all laugh with her and go through it. However, if you want to have anything to relate with Ariel, there is her desire of going off to the manor, despite it being kind of petty that she's going up doing all this for a man. The emotion behind it is there, and you can see it through her performance as she's going through her cave of treasures, and somewhere at the end with the yeah, throughout the movie actually, and you know, and the emotions, especially the facial expressions of this movie, are very well done, especially on the human characters. It's very well done, I think. So we can sympathize with the characters more, and the music fits in right. And the side characters, you know, they're kind of harmless. They serve their purpose very well. Yeah, you know, Flounder the best friend, Sebastian the guardian type character, and Scuttle the clueless seagull, and then you got the King Triton, who's the overprotective father figure, and yeah, who does get a lot of chuckles because again, it's another element that you can relate to Monday, as he's always yelling at his daughter for disobeying the rules and going to the surface, but she's so fascinated with this world, she wants to go, and you know. And she goes up there, and eventually she saves a sailor's life, and they fall in love, and and her father says no, and you know, she makes a bargain with the witch, and yeah, and the witch, of course, Ursula, she's gonna use this to get King Triton's trident so she can rule the sea. It is very typical plot, but it's there are a few Disney movies in the Disney Renaissance where it's very typical, but you love one character for taking advantage of the other, and that's mainly the villain, now I think about it. But overall, it's a very good movie. I think I really enjoy this one. The music is great, the side characters are some of the best, especially the King Triton and the villain, pretty good. And yeah, and when it comes to the effects, the ocean looks wonderful, the special effects, the facial expressions, overall, I think it's a great movie. A really pick up and a good start up to the Disney Renaissance, so it ranks me up to number 8. And, yeah. Aladdin comes in at the number 7 spot for me. And, yeah, it's pretty, a very nice gem in the franchise of Disney movies. This is another one of my favorites. It's up there, it is, number 7. It's a good spot. There's a lot of the pros really outweigh the cons. There is barely any flaws, apart from wishes, I guess. The villain is great. Jafar, one of the best, up there with Maleficent. The genie, Robert Williams, rest in peace. God rest his soul. But he gave a phenomenal performance as the genie. Everyone can, or no one, barely anyone can say that. If people do prefer Dan Castellaneta as the genie, more power to you. But honest to God, Robin Williams, gotta go with him. Our two leads, Jasmine and Aladdin, of course, they're great. Aladdin is one of the more attractive Disney princesses. And then you got Aladdin, who is one of the first male companion leads we've got in the Disney Renaissance. Because before this, we had Belle and the Little Mermaid. I suppose but it was just Belle and Little Mermaid, really. I suppose you could argue the Rescuers, but that was both a female and a male working together. But so this is our first movie with a male lead in the Disney Renaissance, and it's a pretty good one, I think. It doesn't really go by. It feels like it goes by pretty like a very flown by time, wish by wish, and yeah. I think this is a nice gem. People say it's a very rewatchable movie. I can see that. There is sort of a rewatch to it. It's very corny at times, but and I think to a certain extent I do like it. There are parts where I'm like, yeah, in the moment. But overall, I think this is a great movie. I want to say more about it, but it does inspire a lot of elements. For example, the magic carpet, it does inspire Moana later on down the Disney line. So there's a lot to love about it. The music, the characters, the plot. The side characters, there are a few stumbles there, but I think overall it's a very great movie. There's barely any flaws of it, aside from the overall wishing thing, but other than that, I've got to say, Aladdin, the 31st animated Disney classic, is up there, and has ranked its spot as the number 7 best. Well, not the best, but ranked its spot at number 7 on the golden age of Disney movies. So, moving on to number 6. So here we are again with the next Disney movie, ranked at number 6, and that would be The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's dark, it's underrated, but there are a lot of things in this movie that I like, which are the dark villain, you got Quasimodo, the lead, Kevin Kline as the captain of the guard, Esmeralda the gypsy. Basically the plot is Quasimodo, Hunchback of Notre Dame. He's deformed, he has to hide in the bell towers because he's deformed and ugly. And because of, he's raised by a man by Frollo. Frollo is the bad guy, of course. He's convinced, but he goes out, he manages to escape the church, befriends the gypsy Esmeralda, and he then bumps into the captain of the guard, and he makes friends. When Frollo is after Esmeralda, they try to save her, but she ends up captured anyway. There's a big finale, and overall, it's a very good movie, I think. There are some problems with the gargoyles, but the gargoyles are a symptom of the problem, not the actual problem itself. The main problem of this movie is the tone. It doesn't know what it wants to be, whether it wants to be a comical relief, where it wants to stick to its traditional Disney roots, or break the mold and become a serious movie. Overall, though, I think it's a nice balance. The gargoyles are just there to balance out that this is a Disney movie, so we've got to keep in the Disney formula. So, they're there. Frollo is one of the best Disney villains ever. Tony J, rest in peace. You've done a phenomenal job of all the roles you've given, especially with Frollo. It was nice of Disney to take a chance with different risks like sexuality and lust. And, they're also, Esmeralda is a nice female lead. She's sassy, tough, independent, all that good stuff. Kevin Kline, the captain of the guard, Phoebus. He is another good character with a lot of sarcasm. I love that. And you know, I think it all balances out with a nice solid main cast and a nice firm plot with the weight of the music, very well handled, and of course another character that does deserve to be mentioned. I think, the Archdeacon and the Jester, two other performances well done, very well. And I think this is a very good underrated gem in the Disney canon, willing to take some risks. Disney's 34th animated classic ranks its spot as the number 6 spot on my list. Moving on. And yes, guys, I'm afraid The Lion King is my number 5 favorite movie of the Disney golden age of movies from the 90s. I know a lot of people, a majority, consider this to be the best of the Disney Renaissance, the golden age, the 90s, whatever you want to call it. However, there are some things I want to go over that are negatives of this movie. But I tell you, I really am a fan of the Lion King franchise. I'm not dissing in any way. I love so much about it. The villains, Frazira, Scar, and all that. I also love the stories they try to tell from Hamlet and Shakespeare. They actually do a lot. And the characters that you can imagine this story taking place in any time period from the past or present day, maybe. So there's kind of a lot going. I mean, there's not much to hate about this movie, but there is one key element which pushes it down a few pegs. I'm going to get into. But before I do, I want to go with the positives. The story is very well told. It's well told. It's well portrayed. I'll give it that. The song sequences by Tim Rice and Elton John are just pure golden. This is where Disney hit its strong point. Elton John came in and he wanted to get into, according to his I think it was 70th anniversary or 50th, whatever. Yeah, I think it's his 50th in music. This was one of his Can You Feel the Love Tonight was one of Elton John's top songs. And I don't know, I forget where it was ranked, but I know it wasn't number 1, but it was still up there. And he says he wanted to get into a new generation of kids. And he started work on the Lion King, and then he later worked on El Dorado, but it wasn't as popular as Lion King. And you can tell how well that one song helped the movie. But other than that, we got Circle of Life. As soon as you hear those 4 notes, you know it's the Lion King. That's all you need to know. A Disney movie's on, let's see what it is. Hey, I know this is. Yep. The Circle of Life is the song that you can all... it's one of the key elements. When you think of The Lion King, that's the first thing that probably comes to your mind. Hakuna Matata is a catchy number. Its purpose and meaning, it's kind of all over the place, but it's still a catchy number. Along with Just Can't Wait to Be King. Again, the song meaning, I just can't wait to be king. However, another way you could, if you've seen honest trailers, yes, I just can't wait till my dad dies. That's basically what the song is saying, really. I think that's all of them. I might be missing a few. Okay, Morning Report is an extra song. I think it's on this list. Yes, it is. However, I'm assuming I don't need... Yeah, it's part of the extended edition. But I'm not going to really count that song because it's probably arguably the worst song of this movie. They didn't need to add it. Luckily, they didn't in the original cut. So, that's a good thing. There's a lot to like. Let's move on to the characters. Mufasa, a great king, voiced by James Earl Jones, a legend, of course, Darth Vader. It's nice to have him back. And, was it Jonathan Taylor Thomas was the kid? Simba? Yeah, I think he was the better pair of the Simbas than Matthew Broderick, because he was just there. It is Matthew Broderick. He's really trying, he really is, but I'm afraid the younger version of Simba stole the show there. Scar is a villain, one of Disney's best. However, one of his faults, when he gets his power, he just sits on his ass and doesn't do anything until Simba shows up. And that's another thing where I'm going to go into the story, but I'll get to that in a second. Rafiki's great. The actor who played him, Robbie something, I forgot who it was, but rest in peace, along with the other past actor who I have mentioned from the other previous movies. Tony J, Robin Williams, you know, those guys. Nathan Lane and, I forget the other guy who voices Pumbaa, I think it's Ernie something, but, you know, they're there, great comic relief. And Nala is a good side character, a good support for Simba, and a worthy good queen. So, overall, this is a great movie, but what's holding this one back? To me, it's gotta be the part, like, this whole thing of, you know, the message of, I know that they're trying to make it tell right with Rafiki, you know, like, where he hits him on the head and he says it hurts, he says, oh yes, the past can hurt, but the best thing is you can learn from it, no, run from it, or learn from it. And, you know, what happens? He tries to whack him again, and Simba just ducks it. And this is all he needs to, and the vision helps, of course, and he goes back, but when he does confront him, his fears work against him, and he's like, no, it was an accident, blah, blah. And then Scar, but then the thing is, Scar told earlier to the lionesses that Simba died in the stampede, and now no one's questioning anything. So, basically the movie's saying if he did kill his father, he deserves to die. So that's kind of why, that's the main reason why I'm pushing this movie back. It's because of the message and the questioning of what Scar has said before. So there is a lot of, that's where it gets convoluted with the plotting. So that's why I'm pushing it back to number 5 for me. However, it's still a great gem. It's on an epic scale. It's a very well done, great Disney movie. One of the best, or there's no doubt about it, one of the best. And that has got to be my thoughts on The Lion King. Let's move on to the rest of the countdown. So, Beauty and the Beast ranks the spot at number 4 on this list. Very good movie, very good. The other 3 are, like, personally up to my genre, because the other 3 are solely, of course, if you've been keeping up, solely required on more of a adventurous type feel. So, but when it comes to a standard, typical, very typical Disney fare, gotta go with Beauty and the Beast. It's straight to forth. There's barely any problems with this movie, really. It's the story of a young woman and a beast bonding, and they realize they have affection for one another because the beast is under a curse and he's got to break the spell before the last petal falls, or he'll remain a beast for all time, and so will all the servants who live there, you know. And they're your side characters. You've got the villain Gaston, a very classic Disney villain, another comical relief, but actually can become intimidating at the climax of the movie. So, there's very not much to complain about this when it comes down to it. So, why is it ranked at number 4? It's very hard. It's all because I like the other 3 with just more personal taste of the adventure feel. Is there anything in this movie that I like? The beast's design is very good, like a big werewolf type creature, and sort of a buffalo-ish head. Then you've got the servants. I think Cogsworth is voiced by the same guy who did the villain of Radcliffe in Pocahontas, and he was also Jumba in Lilo and Stitch. So he does a lot of voice work for Disney films. Lumiere is a nice foil to Cogsworth, and overall there have been a lot of good positive feedback for this movie. Overall, I would suggest that Beauty and the Beast is another awesome, worthy one for the Disney classic canon. A lot of great song sequences in this movie, of course, including, of course, Be Our Guest. What else was there? Oh, come on, my memory's such a blow in this movie. Tale Is All This Time, Beauty and the Beast, of course. The song, Gaston's little mob song, and his, Gaston is the best, or what is, no one's whatever is Gaston. So, there's barely anything wrong with this movie, really. And that is why I think it deserves its... So that's why, as a perfect foil, if anyone told me what is a generic, awesome Disney movie you'd watch over and over again, Beauty and the Beast. And I think it's even better than its remake that's come out pretty recently. And that's just my personal opinion, really. But that being said, we'll be moving on now to my number 3. This is where we come down to the personal best, the top 3 of ranking the remaining 3. This is where it gets interesting. So give us a sec and prepare for number 3. Okay guys, Tarzan comes in at number 3. As we go on this list, this is where it gets to the great ones, I think, you know. Tarzan, Disney's Tarzan, is one of the best adaptations of the character. Was it, I forgot which one it was. Was it Rice Brothers? Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I think this is probably the best adaptation of Tarzan we're gonna get, because the main reason why is because Tarzan is a character who's meant to be able to do anything that the way I see it anyway, is a character who's able to, this Tarzan we get is able to mimic all types of animals, and not just the apes, but also leopard, the movement of a leopard to the movement of a lemur, the movement of a snake. So he does all these kinds of different animal techniques that, because Tarzan 2 is despite how bad that sequel is, kind of helps us pull the strings together how we can do that. But, you know, it's very good, well done that they've took, and of course, it's very good they got all these different animal abilities into this character. And the special thing is, no live action stunt could do this, that this Tarzan does. It had to be done with animation like this. So, that's why I think it's the best ideal representation of Tarzan that we're gonna get. Tarzan is played by Tony Goldwyn, was it? Yeah, I think it was. And he's got a nice, soothing voice. It's not, it's deep enough, but it's not to a point where it gets distracting. It's very simplistic, and I think it works for the character, to be honest. It's very simple and deep. So, Tony Goldwyn, if it is right on his name, he does a very good job with the character. The emotional turmoil he's going through, the goofiness, the seriousness, he takes it all very well. Anyway, this representation of Tarzan, you get his childhood, he's on the island, and he grows up with the outsiders, he's an outcast. And then, of course, later on, Jane gets on the island, the humans show up, and then he learns to befriend them, and then he discovers that he's one of them, and he's choosing to go with the humans or stay with his family. And then at the end you got the Phil and Clayton, and the twist of, well, not really twist, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. And then, climax of Clayton, and at the end. And, Jane stays with Tarzan. Because love. So overall, this is a great movie. Like I said, we've got some good side characters with Wayne Knight as Tantor, and was it Rosie O'Donnell? Rosie McDonald? Well, yeah, I think it was that. No, it wasn't Rosie O'Donnell, as Turk, the female ape, and like many people, I thought she was a boy, but no, it's a girl. Kurt, and then you got Carla, played by Glenn Close, who is the mother, and then you got Kerchak, who is the one, of course, who's protesting against Tarzan, and there's a lot of sun in this movie today. Oh man, I'm getting a lot of sunlight. So Kojak is the silverback ape who is against Tarzan, but because he's not one of them, but he proves to be one of them by killing the leopard Sabor in a very well done choreographed fight sequence with the leopard. Oh my god, I'm getting a lot of sunlight today. He kills the leopard, and he sort of earns Kojak's trust, but bad timing because Jane's on the island, so that's where you get into the human stuff. Now, give me a second, I want to say something about this movie. As I go on, let's go over Clayton. People, as soon as you see Clayton, people say, we know he's the villain. Based on his design. The mustache, the gun, the evil, deep voice. Yeah, and of course, but the thing is, and people think that's it's just don't do this sort of twist plot. It's so obvious. But the thing is, if it's so obvious, I think it's because the movie's basically aware it's obvious. Because Tarzan isn't the smartest tree in the box, and he doesn't know the deception that humans are capable of. So it's we can smile at the villain as he's plotting his scheme and, trying to get the location of the apes, because he wants to find the location of the apes so he can capture them, of course, and sell them for money. As you do. And it's very charming to see this villain being mocked at and being sinister at the same time as we see him progress through the film as he's conjuring up his scheme of capturing the apes. So, yes, the villain is kind of obvious, but I think that the movie is aware that it's obvious, hence why it's portrayed that way. So, there's that. Again, one more thing before we move on to the next movie is this is one of the better romances of Disney's, which they're trying to do better, because their relationship, Jane and Tarzan's relationship, doesn't feel forced. It feels natural as it progresses. And yeah, it does feel very blooming and welcomed, and it doesn't feel rushed at all. So yeah. So Tarzan is a great joyride for me, from the action sequences to the well-handled character development to a very lightened tone, which the sunlight seems to be affecting. Even nature is on my side. So it's a nice thrill ride to enter on to other movies. Oh, and of course I want to mention Tarzan surfing on trees. A very nice technique. So we'll be moving on to the final two movies on this list. Number 2 is The Rescuers Down Under, a very underrated gem in the franchise. So this came in a 2-pack. I'm focusing more on the second one, Rescuers Down Under. It's got a great cast. Georgie Scott as the villain, Cody, Jar Jar Gavor, and I forget the male one's name, but he's in there too. And they're going on this quest to rescue this boy, Cody, who's been caught by McLeach, because McLeach is a poacher and he wants to know the location of this giant golden eel which the boy rescues. And he's not going to tell him, so he kidnaps him and it's up to the mice to rescue him, hence the rescuers. So, yeah. This is obviously better than the first movie, of course. Very good. It's a very well action-packed adventure. It's more of an adventure. It is an adventure, a very well-graded one, and it does go by at flight speed, pun intended. And the reveal of Marahote and McLeach, they have these slow, dramatic builds where Marahote is caught in the trap at the cliff. Cody climbs the cliff and rescues her, and he gets tossed off as the bird is free, and all of its slow motion glory is revealed. Pretty great, and then we get a great flight sequence which is very well done. Then later on we're introduced to McLeach, the poacher, and he gets like a slow motion as his truck flies over and yeah. And something I like about him is he was actually going to let the boy go until he realized that he has the feather, and he might know where the eagle is. So and there is funny scenes with this villain. He's not just a threat. He's also got very comical with his sidekick Joanna, especially that scene with the eggs. These are not Joanna eggs. And yeah, she keeps taking them. It's very funny. So overall, I think this movie has a lot going for it. Great villain. John Candy's also in this, and he plays another great role as he's Wilbur, the albatross bird. We get a new character in the form of Jake, the Australian mouse, who's throughout the movie. Bernard, the male one, is trying to propose to Bianca. However, Jake keeps getting in the way because it's a woman. And the thing I like about Jake is he's not getting in the way because he wants Bianca. He's getting in the way because, well, he's by accidental, really, as he's trying to just woo her, But, overall, it's a great movie. The music is great. The villain is great. It's George C. Scott. It's one of the best underrated villains in the golden age of Disney. And the bird is well animated, and flight sequences are great. And I think the boy is better than the girl because he's more relatable to the animals than the girl was. So we've got a very good movie. And of course this means you know what number one is. So let's get this out of the way. And finally, Disney's Mulan. I was very surprised that Mulan was high as it was. My number one favorite. I didn't really know at all which my favorite was going to be until I ranked them, because I've never ranked them before, but now I was really surprised that this was my first favorite out of them all. But really it is. Apparently it is. This is a good one. It's the perfect change for Disney when it comes to the female princess stereotype, because it allowed them to change their princess role, what means to be a princess, because she basically saved all of China, which is a country which at least is worth a title of grandeur. Even though she turns it down, of course, she's still rewarded for it in the franchise of Disney, and they still give her that title as a princess, because that's reward enough. But the story is that Mulan is a girl who doesn't see, and she looks into a reflection of herself and doesn't see anyone at all there. She sees nothing. So she has a father, and he's going to be going to war because the Huns are invading China, and he's going to go and fight the war, but due to his injuries he may not survive, and she goes to save his life, which is one of the better things for Disney females, because mainly they want to have more in life for themselves, but this one's doing it to save someone she cares about his life. And it's very well told. The passion is there. She goes on her way, and and then the father is all or he gets out of bed and rushes out but it's too late. And we've got the spirits, the ghosts, and they send Eddie Murphy, who's in this movie. They send Mushu, he'll be her guard, not her guardian because he's lost his guardian position, but he goes behind their backs and goes after her just so that he can be a war hero. And that's the thing. She's doing it for selfless reasons. He's doing it for selfish reasons, so he can get his job back. So they go and meet each other, and they're meant to try and train up with their captain, Captain Li Shang, who is voiced by oh, god damn it. Was it BD Wong? Yeah, it was BD Wong. He's voiced by BD Wong, who's you may not know him, but he's actually the guy in Jurassic Park. He's the guy looking after the eggs. And he's also in NCIS, I think it's Law and Order's Victims Unit, but yeah. And he's also in Jurassic World, where he's working on the Indominus Rex. So yeah, I was surprised that was him, but yeah. And they're training with, she's training under all these soldiers, and she befriends a few of them, which are Ling, Chimpo, and Yao. And they're just stereotypes. Ling's the comic relief, the jokester one. Chimpo's the pacifist. And you got Yao, who's the big tough, small tough grump. So, she gets some friends there, and we also get the counselor. And he's there to keep an eye on the captain to make sure he doesn't screw up. And then eventually, after the training, they soon go and we go after to the battle of the mountains, and they discover deaths and all that. And then they finally confront the avalanche scene. It's really great, and you get as the movie progresses. Like I said at the beginning, where Mulan doesn't think she is worth anything. As the movie progresses, she slowly becomes an independent woman in the film, as she can make decisions in the battlefield, and that's what causes the Han army to die, really. Nearly the entire army dies in that avalanche, and the main villain and the 5, head guys are alive, and they go to the finale, and they capture the Emperor, and Mulan saves the day, and yeah. And then that's not the horror of it. At the very end of the movie, where her father is just sulking, she comes home and says, "Hey, I got something worth honor." But he just tosses them aside and says he doesn't care. And he says, "The greatest honor having you is having her for a daughter." And that's a nice message. It's not finding something worth honor. It's being something of honor, and that's a very good thing to learn. It's a very strong, heartwarming message. The protagonist is one of Disney's best. Mushu is one of the best comic reliefs of them all. We got one of our better male leads for the female, because most of the Disney princes kind of suck to me personally. But this one has some character to him. He's not all invincible. He is still human. He does show vulnerability. Yeah, and I think Mulan's family's pretty good. Her father is a very loyal soul, and her mother is kind of the weak one out of the 3, but her grandmother is the funny one to back it up. And overall, I think it's a good movie. My favourite of the Disney Golden Age. And of course, I didn't mention much, but the villain, Shan Yu, is very great. And with the sinister voice. He doesn't get much lines, but he sells it with his voice. And I do know that his voice actor, Miguel Ferrer, passed away. Was it last year? Yeah, or this year? It wasn't this year. It was either 2016 or 2017. But I think it's 2017. He died at 61, so yeah. That's another... Well, a lot of these movies that I'm doing in the 90s, a lot of these actors have passed away as I'm going through them. But yes, overall, Mulan has got to be my favourite. And surprising to me, it is my favourite Disney movie of the Golden Age of Disney. So, that being said, this has been my ranking of all of the 10 Disney movies from the Golden Age. Put in your thoughts down below of these movies, rank them all. What's your list? Helps out. Leave a like, share and subscribe, all helps out too. Text them guys, leave a like, and all that best. Peace.
Thank you.